Frankenstein, the true story? Not quite. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Terra and Tats, and what I want to talk about today is a 1974 TV miniseries titled Frankenstein, the True Story. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. It's like, dude, that's a DVD. What are you doing with that? You are aware that Scream Factory just put that out on Blu-ray not too long ago. Well, see, here's the thing, and I know I can't be the only person who does this. Um, I wasn't honestly really sure if I was going to like this movie or not, and I was kind of leery about dropping the, 25, $30 on the Blu-ray, and a local record store that I frequent, they had, quite a number of horror DVDs on sale, and I did, like haul videos on my channel about it. Yeah, it was just a few weeks ago. They were just like trying to clear out a lot of their horror DVD stock, and I just went bananas. I just found a whole bunch of them. They had some that were like $1.50 each. Some of them were $2.50 each. This was one of the ones that was $2.50 each. And at that time, I was like, you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll buy this and I'll watch it on DVD. And if I really like it and really feel like it's worth it, then yeah, I'll upgrade to the Blu-ray. But after watching it, I'm not really all that sure if I really still want to spend the money on it. I know I come off like a real tightwad, but Anyway, just yeah. Frankenstein, the true story. The entire kind of like the real big thing about this mini series is what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you on that this is the most um, you know faithful, loyal adaptation of Mary Shelley's classic book that there's ever been. And I really got to be honest. I still think that title, this movie, still in my opinion, is probably about as close to Shelley's book as you're really going to get. So that's just my opinion. But anyway, so the miniseries stars James Mason, Leonard Whiting, David McCallum, Jane Seymour, Nicola Pagett, and Michael Sarrazin. And basically, what the miniseries does, and it was kind of interesting. I found this out. I think I was watching a documentary about Salem's Lot, and they were talking about James Mason. And they were talking about like when he made this miniseries that he really did not know that it was a TV miniseries. He thought he was making an actual theatrical film, and then was actually stunned later when he found out that it was a TV movie. I believe it was on the documentary about Salem's Lot that I watched on YouTube. But anyway, so what this does is essentially is it takes kind of like the outline of Mary Shelley's book. It takes the skeletal frame and the skeletal structure and holds to that, but all the details within get changed around a lot, if that makes sense. The story starts with you have Victor Frankenstein, and this one he's played by Leonard Whiting, and he's young. He's in love with Elizabeth, played by Nicola Pagett, and he's like getting ready to go to medical school and everything. But see, in the book and in the Branagh version, it's Victor's mother who dies, and she gives birth. She dies giving birth to Victor's brother William. And in this one, it's actually Victor's brother William who dies, and is kind of the catalyst and sets everything off for him wanting to learn the secrets of life and death and learn how to bring the dead back to life and things like this. And so he goes off to medical school to learn to become a doctor. And basically what they did is in this version, I know I keep referring, but it's like, it's kind of a comparison. Because like I said, to me, this version seems like a much more closer adaptation of Mary Shelley's book. But in this version, what they ended up doing was, let's see, in the book and the Branagh version, he goes to medical school and he meets Victor Clavel, who ends up becoming his friend and just just a guy who tags along with him and works learning to become a doctor. And they end up meeting Dr. Waldman. And in the Brandon version is played by John Cleese. Well, what this version did is it ends up basically condensing the two characters into one, and then we end up, and then it turns out that James Mason's character is introduced, and it turns out really that Mason's character has nothing to do with Mary Shelley's book. They were, I don't know if it was just, hey, we could get James Mason in this movie. Let's just create a character so that we can get him in there. But yeah, the he plays Dr. Polidori, and which that's kind of funny. And yeah, sorry, that's my tablet. Shut up! I'm doing a review. Anyway, so James Mason's character, Polidori, for those of you, if you're familiar with the history of, the conception of the book of Frankenstein by, Mary Shelley, probably if you're familiar with the movie Gothic, Ken Russell's movie Gothic, which kind of tells the story of how Mary Shelley came to create the story of Frankenstein. Well, what ended up happening was that one night, Mary Shelley, her husband Percy, and Lord Byron, they're, talking, and they're talking about like ghosts and stuff like this. And also present at this, get together is John Polidori. And so you could tell, like, Mason's character was basically, kind of like a shout out to John Polidori, who would go on to write the story, The Vampire. Lord Byron, basically took credit for the writing of that story, but eventually Polidori did get his credit for, his story, and then eventually, the story of the vampire, allegedly, inspired Bram Stoker to go on to create Dracula. But at this party, they were talking about they need to write, something scary. Each one of them come up with a scary story, and Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein. So anyway, so obviously, it's the character of Polidori is really a shout out to John Polidori, the author, who was there at the time. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Oh man. Anyway, so so Victor, he's learning how to create life. But what it turns out is in this version is that Henry Clavell, he ends up dying, and Victor, he gets the body parts, puts them together. Then he takes Henry Clavell's brain, who in the book, in the Mary Shelley's book, is actually Dr. Waldman's brain that he puts into the body, and then he's able to bring the creature to life. And but the only thing is the creature is right there, played by Michael Sarrazin. And eventually at first he's really happy. He's happy that, he has the creature, even though obviously he turns against him at some point. And then, he's like trying to teach the creature how to be civilized and sophisticated and things like this. But then he starts to notice that that there is a side effect to this, this operation, and that, he's starting to decay. And then, the character of Dr. Polidori, James Mason character, comes in and he's like, ha ha ha, yeah, I found out what you did wrong. See, that's the thing. Henry Clavell stole, the secrets from me, but he decided to use electricity, which you don't do, and all this. And so, he does, eventually Victor does give up on the creature. The creature, runs away, and, you have the scene where he meets the blind man and chase away, things like this. But then what, what ended up happening in the story, a lot of it was that, the monster basically comes back to Frankenstein to get revenge on him. And in the book, he murders Frankenstein's brother, William. That's how the character really died. And then he catches Frankenstein and catches Dr. Frankenstein and tells him, you want me to go away? Here's what you do. Make me a mate. And then, But in this version, they change it around. That actually what ends up happening is that Polidori comes to Victor Frankenstein and basically blackmails him into helping him create a mate. And then they take this local girl who was murdered by the creature. And did they say what the character's name was? No. But anyway, so the girl is actually played by Jane Seymour. So she's dead, so they end up, they revive her, and she becomes, you know, she becomes, reanimated, and then, you know, the monster, then you get the whole Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing where the monster keeps trying to get close to her, but she wants nothing to do with him and everything. And then, things happen, and then I'm trying not to give away any more than, but, if you're familiar with the story, Elizabeth meets her fate on a ship. It does happen in this, but it is definitely different from definitely different from the book and from, this version, as is the climax of the story. It takes place, in the ice, but it's completely different. In the same setting, but just with a different, ending to it. So, but I think I've said more than enough already. This movie is very misleading. It's not, if you've read Mary Shelley's book, kind of really don't know how they really sold people on this back in 1974, that this was the true story, the actual adaptation. And I imagine probably a lot of people who had read the book, when they probably saw this, they might have been, I don't know, maybe they might have really liked it, but they might have been very disappointed in it. But just for me personally, just as someone who's read the book, and someone who's, really enjoyed the Branagh version. And I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people could be like, well, just come on, man, just lighten up. I mean, hell, the James Whale's version wasn't, a faithful adaptation of the book. And it's like, yeah, that's true. And neither were even though the Hammer movies did try to add in elements over the course of the series of films, they did try to add in elements to try to get as much of a faithful adaptation as they could. But just, I don't know, just to me, this whole thing of, we're going to sell this as the official, truly faithful adaptation of Mary Shelley's book. It really falls flat. I mean, it's like, yeah, like I said, the skeletal structure, the outline of the book is there, but they change so many of the details within, and it doesn't make any sense, why they proclaim that it's the true story, and yet they change so much of it, and they condense characters, like they condense Henry Clavell and Dr. Waldman into a character. Then you add a character like Polidori, who really had no emphasis in the book or the story or anything like that. But anyway, yeah, I really can't, I really don't recommend this. I mean, if you really want, like this, like I said, this version here, this is probably still going to be about as close to a faithful adaptation of the book as you're going to get. This here, I really can't say I recommend it that much. It's, also too, at a running time of 3 hours, it just really didn't feel like it was worth it. And, I'm glad I only paid the $2.50 for this on DVD. And, and I'm going to be honest, I really don't see myself upgrading to the, I mean, bless Scream Factory, bless their hearts for putting it out, but just, I really don't see myself upgrading to the Blu-ray, even though I'm sure it looks really good on Blu-ray. And I will say the cinematography is beautiful. The art design, the costume design, everything else. It is a very gorgeous looking adaptation. But just in terms of story and everything else, to me, this one just really doesn't have a lot of replay value. Just there are many better versions of the story. So. Anyway, so that's going to do it. So if any of you took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the videos, despite my constant, complaining and whining. But I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave it a like. And if you haven't already, go and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm now the Saturday reviewer, and everybody's doing great stuff. We got some more fun theme weeks and everything else coming up. So that's it. Everybody, take care, have a good night, and I'll see you later.